What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel and welcome to this free training video where I show you how I transform my body from 195 pounds fat to 170 pounds fit in about 7 months using the Southside Recomposition method. This is a free training video and I'm giving you all the tools to transform your body just like I did. Let's go ahead and introduce myself here. My name is Miguel Perez IV. I'm a NASM certified personal trainer and a doctor of physical therapy student out of Texas in the US. You can see on the left here, I was 195 pounds fat, and I turned myself from 195 to 170 pounds fit in about 7 months. These are some current pictures of me. So let's get right into it. Before, I was playing college baseball. I was irresponsibly lifting everything and eating everything. So had no guidance there. You could see here, I'm just trying to get that weight up. And obviously we are not where we want to be lean wise. I was pretty much overweight for my height. And I wasn't hitting the goals that I wanted to hit. And then I decided to lock in. I got guidance. I became disciplined. I set goals. I started tracking. We're going to see throughout this video here what exactly I did to get there. But you can see now I look a lot healthier if you compare in my face and my body. Obviously, I'm leaner. I got my gut dialed in, and I got my muscle maturity going pretty good. I'm very disciplined and healthy now, and I'm excited to share it with y'all in this training video. So let's go. At this time, I was in college. I was working. I was also playing baseball. So what's the biggest problem most working men face? Right now, as a personal trainer, I specialize in helping working men either gain weight or lose weight depending on their goals using the recomposition method. So I'm excited to get into this. So the biggest challenges that working men face are training without structure, limited time, and poor nutrition planning, no guidance. And so with me at this time, I was training without structure. I was lifting like crazy. I was hurting myself. I had limited time to lift and to eat. So my mind was all over the place. I was just trying to get through my days. So that doesn't help with my goals, or that didn't help with my goals. And poor nutrition planning also at the place that I was at, we had like almost buffets every meal. And so I was just eating everything with no plan, and that's what resulted in this type of body. So yeah, and then I dialed it in. You'll see later in this video how I did it. But obviously without structure, so we're going to get some structure, limited time. We're going to maximize our time, and then poor nutrition planning. We're going to start planning. We're going to start tracking. So let's do it. So there were 4 pillars to my training that I utilized. First thing was gym work. Obviously, training in the gym is very important. I dialed it in. I was more responsible. I was tracking everything that I did, making sure that I was progressively overloading, maximizing my intensity and quality of my lifts and form. And all of that helped my muscle maturity, making sure that certain muscles were hit and isolated whenever they needed to be. And then also, just preventing injury altogether. I was making sure I was healthy during a baseball season and also afterward. So yeah. Second thing is nutrition. Obviously, one of the bigger things whenever it comes to recomping your body. With the Southside Recomposition method, this is probably the most important portion or pillar of training, because you need to hit all your macromolecules in order to make sure, or your macro goals, in order to make sure that your muscles stay present and that we're cutting body weight at the same time and not wasting time during your programming. And during my programming, nutrition was huge because I had that buffet, so I had to limit myself. And I had to force myself to eat properly at the beginning and then eventually become sustainable. And now I don't track nearly as much as I used to because I can be sustainable with my eating, and I know my habits, I know my tendencies, and I can avoid it all while being sustainable. So yeah. Next thing is tracking. So the nutrition and gym work, it's all useless unless you track it at the beginning and towards your phase 2. There are 3 phases in this program. So tracking is the biggest thing. You need to track your weights to make sure that you're progressively overloading and not hurting yourself and not going too fast or too slow. And then you need to track your nutrition in order to make sure that you are staying healthy, you're being sustainable, and you're going to reach the goals later based on your total daily energy expenditure and the calories that you're burning, right? Yeah. So last thing is build the habits. So with those 3, the gym work, the nutrition, and the tracking, you need to build those habits. That way it's not forced all the time. It needs to be sustainable. That way once you're focused on something, you need to learn it and then never have to pay someone, never have to force it ever again. It just becomes part of your daily life to be healthy, right? And for me, building the habit was super important. The nutrition habits, the gym habits, all of that, in order to be safe and healthy, or else I probably wouldn't be here right now. I'd be limping somewhere, hurting. But yeah, building the habits for me was huge, with the tracking, the nutrition, and the gym work, in order to just keep progressing all the way to that 170 from that 195 over that 7-month period. And I built it over 7 months, and now I'm probably 2 years after that now, and I'm still in nearly the same shape as I was in that in this picture here. I'm nearly the same shape, as you can see here. And it's been probably a year and a half, a little bit over that. And I'm still in that shape because I built the habits, and I'm just implementing it now with sustainability. So yeah, let's get into the method, the Southside Recomposition method. This is exactly how I did it, step by step, in 3 different phases. And this is how I help all my clients, specifically working men, to either gain muscle or lose fat based on their goals. So yeah, let's get right into it. So phase 1, this was just the first week through the 4th week, so 1 month, right? And this was baseline habit training. So at this point, I probably didn't know exactly what I was doing, but this is exactly how I did it, tracking wise and with nutrition training, and the sustainability goal for the end. And this is how I did it. So for nutrition, first I calculated my total daily energy expenditure, which is how many calories I burn during the day, and how many calories I need. Yeah. So first I calculated the total daily energy expenditure, which is how much energy I expend during the day, specifically in calories. So if I eat exactly that much during the day, that means I'm exactly at maintenance, and I'm going to stay the exact same over time. And so I'm going to calculate that. And depending on the client, I will change it from maintenance to a slight deficit. But for me, I was in a deficit of between 300 and 700 calories in order to make sure I was losing that body fat that I had on me. As you can see here, I had a good amount of fat that I needed to just shred off me to see what was on my body. But yeah, so my macronutrient ratios there, obviously your macronutrients are your proteins, your fats, your carbs. And we're going to focus on maintaining my protein intake. I don't want to cut that down because then we lose muscle, right? So at the beginning, I'm going to stay between 1.8 to 2.2 grams per kilogram. And I calculated that myself. I have a bachelor's in exercise science, and I took a nutrition class where we learned how to calculate all these. And I do the same for my clients. Yeah. So I focused on my protein intake to preserve and build muscle. And then my fat intake was lowered down to the minimum 0.5 grams per kilogram. That way I can maintain a hormonal balance and make sure I'm not in a surplus of fat to keep that body fat on me. I wanted to cut it down and see where we were at. And then the carbs are the remaining intake, which all of these should add up to your total calorie deficit there, to make sure that you're not eating too less, too much, based on research. But carbs are great for recovery and for fueling those workouts. So at this time, I wasn't worried about when I was getting these in, just getting them in during the day, making sure I'm hitting these totals, 1.8 to 2.2 grams per kilogram, to 0.5 grams per kilogram, and making sure the carbs fill up the rest of it. I don't want to cut carbs pretty much at all from that total, because we're trying to stay healthy here at the beginning, trying to make sure we're still feeling good, not forcing anything bad. So that's the nutrition for phase 1. For training for phase 1, it's a strength training focus, nice and balanced. That's what I was doing. I was trying to get a baseline for all of my lifts. So I would go lift. I would do strength training, 3 full body sessions per week. Of course, this was aside from my baseball stuff that I was doing, but strictly for my training, it was 3 full body strength sessions per week, only focusing on compound lifts. I didn't really do much accessory, at least planned accessory. But I was tracking all of these lifts to make sure I was getting a baseline for all of my weights, and knowing what exactly I needed to do in the future if I needed to change things. But I kept that for 4 weeks, and I tracked all my weight, made sure I was progressively overloading each week. And then for cardio, I did 2 to 3 sessions a week of HIIT or steady state cardio. The HIIT training burns both fats and carbs at the same time, and the steady state cardio was mainly focused on fats. So both of them were healthy for me to be doing in order to cut down body fat while maintaining my my muscle mass because I was still hitting that protein intake that was required. So yeah, this balanced program at the beginning, which was the first 4 weeks, each workout was about 60 minutes because I have limited time, so only about an hour. So I hit that hour mark, and that was 4 to 5 times per week during my busy schedule, and it worked out. And to track all of this, the nutrition and training, I used MyFitnessPal for nutrition, and I use Trainerize for my training. And that's where I mark all my weights, all my reps, all my sets, and all my macronutrient ratios in MyFitnessPal. And I also took a lot of progress pictures, as you can see in the pictures before. And then I used accountability texts with my mentor at the time to make sure that I was on track with everything. So yeah, after that 4 weeks, I'm knowledgeable about the gym at this time. I'm knowledgeable about how to track my nutrition, and I'm ready to dial in some changes because this is 4 weeks in. I recognize my body's tendencies. So for phase 2, it's weeks 5 through 12. We're really going into the 3-month mark here. We're doing progressive overload and recomposition. This is really where we dial in the recomp, because here we're just doing baseline habit training. We're following the recomposition theme here with cutting down body fat while maintaining or gaining muscle mass. And so you can see here that with that goal, we have nutrition reassessment, which is where we reassess the total daily energy expenditure every 4 weeks here, because there are 2 months in this one. So we reassess the total daily energy expenditure based on your weight difference, because you're going to weigh different from the first months to these months. And with that weight difference, you need to switch up your TDEE calculation in order to make sure that your macronutrients are still on the right levels in order to either lose weight or gain weight. I introduced nutrition timing here, which is where I ate more like before my lifts or on the same days that I lift, and in order to fuel it, and then to cut down my body fat percentage on the days that I didn't lift. I didn't eat nearly as much those days because I'm not using it. And then I'm also lowering carbs and raising protein based on the phase 1 results. So here we actually had the guidance numbers 1.8 to 2.2, and then the remaining carbs, that totals up. And those totals, depending on how my body responded, am I holding on to mass? Am I not holding on to enough muscle mass? Based on those results, I'm going to raise my protein and lower my carbs, or depending on what was needed. So if I'm putting on too much weight, like my fat's still there, my body fat percentage is still pretty high, I got to lower the carb count, because that is just the remaining count from the first one. But if let's say I'm not gaining enough muscle at the time, or I'm not holding on to it, then I need to raise my protein count in order to preserve it. And yeah, that's the result based on phase 1. And then for training, I did increase in my intensity volume and add a split. So I added an accessory lift. So I either did push-pull legs or the Arnold split, which is chest, back, arms, and then legs, shoulders, arms, and then legs. Or I did a mix of the two. But basically, I increased my intensity volume. I was doing more till failure. I was really focusing on reaching hypertrophy, which is between 8 and 12 reps, and also adding, maybe some supersets, but that's mainly a phase 3 item. And you can see here that I was doing drop sets for hypertrophy, supersets. And then, with my split, it was only 4 to 5 days a week, since we were increasing the intensity volume. And, this is a 2-month period, this phase 2. So you can make adjustments as you go and not do the same exact thing every day. But like maybe over month 2 and month 3, you make changes once. Because you really need to see the change with the same program over a month. That's how you can tell if something's really working. And same thing here, tracking was the exact same. MyFitnessPal, you can see it here. This is a MyFitnessPal picture. This is from the food diary from one of my clients. It counts their total carbs, total fats, total protein after I've given them their guidelines. So this is them trying to reach it. So that's phase 2. It's really just dial in and focus on the recomposition portion and the progressive overload. So we're increasing the intensity and we're dialing in the nutrition. So both of those should work together and help you with your goals, and it helped me for sure. That was into month 3. So here we go. Months 4 through 6. This is where you dial in. It's called refine and master. So you're refining your training and nutrition techniques, and you're mastering sustainability and everything here as far as knowledge goes and understanding your own body. So for training, I added advanced recomposition techniques. This is tempo work, cardio intensity. So changing your cardio intensity depending on what macronutrient you want to burn that day. And then tempo work also, which is your eccentric, concentric portions of the lifts, even isometrics, depending on how much injury prevention you want to work on, or which part of the lift you want to focus on. Everybody's different. So if somebody sees more pump or more contraction during eccentric versus the concentric portion of the lift, then they're going to enjoy that more, and you can do that on certain days depending on what you want to feel, what helps you grow more, based on research at the time too. So yeah, and then periodization, like changing your, and then periodization, you can switch up the intensity for that week. You can do 5 or 4 or 3 weeks of high intensity work, and then 1 week of almost a deload week. That's some periodization there. Yeah, so just switching things up, refining your schedule and refining your recomposition techniques. It's really different for everybody at this point, but once you've gone through phase 1 and 2, you'll know what to do for 3. And then for nutrition guidelines here, I did calorie cycling, which was eating more on training days and eating less on rest days. This is really from person to person, depending on how much you want to track here. This doesn't have to be necessary for everybody, but for certain people that are actually trying to dial in their physique like crazy, this is one of the techniques that you'll need to use with the recomposition method. And then also we're maintaining our protein count 1.8 to 2.2, and that number may go up depending on what your body responds to, and it may go down depending on what your body responds to, but likely you're keeping that range or up in order to maintain your muscle mass. And then sustainability is the biggest thing for phase 3. We're eating at maintenance without tracking nearly as much. So you're trying to almost find comfort in your schedule. That way you can keep the same physique without forcing the tracking and spending so much time on it. You can spend time with your family. You can spend time working. You don't have to put so much towards your physique goals because you're nearly there. And then also you can figure out how to be sustainable for the rest of your life without, being on your phone all the time. And that's the biggest thing for me right now. I'm a busy dude. I got school, I have a business, and I have my family too, lots of travel. So with all of that, I can't spend so much time tracking everything because I've done it in phase 1 and 2. But now I'm in the sustainability phase where I'm focusing on trying to balance everything. And that's a big thing in phase 3 that I help with my clients too, to make sure that they're finding a good balance and they're still maintaining their physique. Same thing tracking here. I track with MyFitnessPal, Trainerize with progress pictures and accountability text messages. And you can see here, this is a picture from Trainerize. This is what it looks like with my clients. You get a video showing you about the lift, how to do it, and the sample model explains it. And then it has your reps, it has my personal notes, and then it has instructions for that day with tempo and sets. So this is very, very cool to track your training. And then you also saw the MyFitnessPal from here. But yeah, so after phase 3, this is where I am now. We went from 195 pounds starting at phase 1 and even going into phase 2, I was probably still nearly up there. And then 7 months later, we shredded up pretty good, got down to 170 pounds. This looks like a solid body fat percentage for a working man. And we went through the Southside recomposition method to get there. Phase 1, baseline habit training. Phase 2, progressive overload and recomp. And then phase 3, refine and master. So yeah. And then with my personal training, I take my clients through these 3 phases. And this is just some of the responses. This is what my nutrition advice looks like. It's either done here or through the Trainerize app. And these are just some of the responses. I have one of my clients that's gaining weight. That's her goal. And then I have one of my clients that's losing weight. That's his goal. This is about 3 weeks in for both of them. And then this is just the response that you get mostly from recomposition, which is gaining mass in the places that you want to and losing fat in the places that you hold the most body fat. That's kind of the response that you normally get with the recomposition method. So yeah, if you're tired of being the way I was, irresponsibly lifting, eating junk, and having no guidance, and you want to lock in, DM me Southside for one-on-one coaching. Subscribe down below. Follow my Instagram for health tips, training tips, and the bottom line, get in contact with me, and I can help you out. You can be just like me, making this transformation from fat to fit. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.